The Doomsday Clock is closer to midnight now than it has ever been in history. We are living in a time where the specter of catastrophe is more real than ever before. But what does it mean when we say we are 100 seconds to midnight? Who decides this, and what makes it so chillingly close? Today, we'll explore the history behind the Doomsday Clock, how close we've been in the past, the science behind setting its time, and how it influences the policies that shape our world. If you've ever felt that nagging anxiety about the world spiraling out of control, you're not alone. Stick with us as we unravel these mysteries. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to keep exploring the deep questions that shape our existence. The history of the Doomsday Clock. How close have we been? The Doomsday Clock, established in 1947, has become one of the most recognizable symbols of humanity's proximity to global catastrophe. But how did it get here, and how close have we really been to midnight in the past? One of the most significant moments occurred during the Cold War in 1953 when the clock was set to 2 minutes to midnight. It was the year both the United States and the Soviet Union tested hydrogen bombs, escalating fears of a nuclear showdown. The world was holding its breath, caught in a precarious balance between superpowers with weapons capable of wiping out civilization. Fast forward to 1991, at the end of the Cold War, the clock was set back to 17 minutes to midnight, the furthest it has ever been. It was a time of hope. The US and the Soviet Union had signed arms reduction treaties, and there was a genuine belief that the specter of nuclear annihilation was finally fading. But that optimism was short-lived. The 21st century brought new threats: terrorism, climate change, and technological risks. In 2020, the clock moved to just 100 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been. The combination of nuclear uncertainty, unchecked climate change, and disruptive technologies like cyber warfare have all contributed to this ominous setting. The mystery lies in how we seem to cycle between hope and imminent danger, and each adjustment of the clock hands tells a story about our world's fragile state. The science behind the clock's timekeeping. But who decides how close we are to midnight, and what factors go into these decisions? The Doomsday Clock isn't just a metaphor, it's based on real scientific, political, and social considerations. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, a group founded by scientists who worked on the Manhattan Project, is responsible for setting the time. This group of experts analyzes a range of factors, including nuclear risks, climate threats, and disruptive technologies. They consider geopolitical tensions, such as rising conflicts between nuclear-armed nations, and scientific assessments of climate change, like rising carbon emissions and melting polar ice caps. Each element is weighed to determine just how close we are to global catastrophe. One of the most mysterious aspects is the interplay between science and politics. How do you quantify the risk of a nuclear accident or the impact of AI weapons on global security? It's not an exact science. It's more like reading the pulse of the planet. The Bulletin members take in a wealth of data, expert opinions, and unpredictable human behaviors to determine where the hands of the clock should rest. And this raises an important question. How accurate can these predictions be? With so many variables, the process is inherently speculative. But perhaps that's the point. The Doomsday Clock serves as a warning, not a precise forecast. It's meant to jolt us into action, to remind us that the fate of humanity rests in our hands, and that we are perpetually balancing on the edge of a knife. How the Doomsday Clock influences global policies. So, why should we care about the Doomsday Clock? It's easy to see it as nothing more than a symbolic gesture, a dramatic way to express concern over global threats. But the truth is, the clock has real influence over global policies and decision-making. For decades, politicians, activists, and even global leaders have used the Doomsday Clock as a call to action. When the hands move closer to midnight, it sends a clear message. Things are getting worse, and action is needed. The clock has been cited in numerous discussions about arms control treaties, climate policies, and international agreements. For instance, during the 1980s, the clock's proximity to midnight was one of the arguments used by activists to push for nuclear disarmament. The mysterious power of the clock lies in its ability to distill complex threats into a simple, visual representation that everyone can understand. There's something uniquely powerful about seeing the hands of a clock creeping towards midnight. It taps into a primal fear of running out of time. This fear, when harnessed properly, can lead to movements, policies, and agreements that might just pull us back from the brink. But here's the unsettling part. How effective is this really? Are world leaders truly influenced by the warnings of scientists and symbolic clocks, or do they continue down dangerous paths regardless of the ticking hands? There are times when the urgency conveyed by the clock has led to meaningful change, but there are also moments when it feels like the world simply ignores the warning, too caught up in short-term interests to see the bigger picture. The Doomsday Clock is a reminder of our responsibility, but it also raises questions about human nature and our ability to respond to existential threats. Can we pull back from the brink? Or are we destined to let the hands reach midnight? The Doomsday Clock is more than just a metaphor. It's a mirror reflecting the state of our world. Its hands have moved back and forth, from the terrifying 2 minutes to midnight during the Cold War to the hopeful 17 minutes in the 1990s, and now to the daunting 100 seconds we face today. It encapsulates our greatest hopes and our deepest fears, our ability to innovate, to destroy, and to decide what kind of future we want. The science behind the clock's timekeeping is complex, blending politics, technology, and human unpredictability. And while its influence on global policies is sometimes questioned, there's no denying its power as a symbol that we are closer than ever to a point of no return. Will we heed the warning this time? Or are we destined to watch as the hands tick closer and closer to midnight? If this exploration into the mysteries of the Doomsday Clock intrigued you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the pressing questions of our time. Together, let's understand the symbols that define our present and shape our future.